All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight with the Three Phases Coaches Clinic. We are extremely fortunate to have John Makie on with us tonight to talk some quarterback reads, specifically pre-snap quarterback reads. And before we get going, if we can, I'd just like to remind you guys, first of all, about the YouTube page. All right, you can search Three Phases Coaching on the YouTube page. All of the stuff we've done, including last night's clinic, tonight's clinic, are all up there on YouTube, so you can search that, refer back to it, share it with your staff. Okay, that's a resource. It's a free resource for everybody, and we will continue this clinic next week. Already confirmed. We've got running back coach with the Regina Rams, Dwayne Mason. So all you running back coaches, that'll be a great presentation right there. That'll be happening on Tuesday and over the weekend, and by Monday we'll confirm the rest of the dates. And along with that, if there are coaches out there, it doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter where you're from, but if you have ideas that you want to share, or you know someone on your staff wants to get involved and do this, I mean, heck, we're all sitting at home anyways. So get at me, get a hold of me on Twitter, shoot me a text or an email or something like that, and we'll get those people involved. All right, so feel free. It is an open forum, so we want those presenters in there. And without further ado, John Makie, a good friend of mine. I'm excited for this presentation. I first met John at a Manitoba Bison spring camp in Winnipeg. I went out there as a guest coach / observer. And at the time, both of us were kind of starting out our careers, you know, in the early years and things like that. And already you could tell John is an extremely smart football mind. So we've got a lot of good stuff to learn from there. And to complement that, obviously, Vanier Cup winning quarterback with the University of Manitoba. So without further ado, John Makie, take it away, sir.
Thanks a lot for that introduction there, Dave. I really appreciate everybody being on this. Like we're going through some unprecedented times with the COVID-19, but I leave it to the sport of football to bring everybody together, and we'll find the best ways to do it. So I'm really happy to be part of such a great group of coaches. I've heard Dwayne Mason's name call out. I actually started a lot of my football career in Saskatchewan. Actually, all my minor football was played in Regina minor football. Then I moved to the Thunder, proud alumni of the Thunder program, and then moved out to the University of Manitoba to go to school, earn a degree, and of course win the national championship. It's been a great ride, but a lot of learnings have been brought out from the minors to junior. Everywhere, everybody that I've been coached by have given me this type of pre-snap recognition. So this is what I'm going with today, is a pre-snap reading. I can also see a couple of quarterbacks that have joined this, so I appreciate even the young bucks that are learning at the moment right now at their home. So here's the pre-snap reading. It's a nice picture of I usually told him the greatest WHSFL quarterback, the Winnipeg High School Football League quarterback. That's Teo Dizar, back when he was playing with St. Paul's. I am the offensive coordinator with St. Paul's High School here now after being removed from the Bison program. This is less time commitment for my family. I have 2 young kids at home now, so I'm offensive coordinator with the St. Paul's High School. We won the championship last year with a young kid named T. Jesse at the helm. It's a great program with a long history of great quarterbacks, and I'm proud to be a part of that program. So why don't we just get into it right now? So the pre-snap reading presentation here. What you guys are going to get out of this, the major points of the presentation is you'll be able to identify key pieces of information, or KPIs, required before every play. So quarterbacks are going to be going through these key pieces of information that they need to gather before every play. They'll be able to understand and be able to do quick math by understanding how many eligible receivers to defenders that they have in a formation set. They'll know where to gather these KPIs at key points before the play in order to eliminate possible defensive outcomes. Okay, so we're eliminating blitzes, any type of blitz, or certain types of coverages. And what I mean by eliminate is we're just decreasing the possibilities of certain scenarios where we might be running into a worst case scenario or for the play that's called. They will know who the key defenders are and what to look for prior to the snap. And essentially what they will have at the end of this presentation, or what they will continue to work on. It's not a magic bullet. They have to work on this. It takes a lot of practice, but essentially have a checklist on what to do before each snap. And whether it's a run or pass, they're doing the same type of, basically like a checklist. And all of this is to be efficient with their vision prior to the snap. And I throw the big bat signal up because what we're going to be doing is becoming detectives. We're detectives before each play as quarterbacks. We're gathering all of this information to come down to possibilities, and that's why I like to throw up the Batman signal, or the bat signal here. So what do I need to know before each play? Well, it starts before the huddle. So our quarterbacks always need to know where they are on the field. And what that means is breaking it down to either the left hash, the middle of the field, or the right hash. And I know that sounds really simple to it, but the way that we call our plays and call our formation sets, it's to the strength of the field. So the quarterbacks need to know the strength of the field, whether they're on the left hash, the strong side becomes their right. If they're on the right hash, the strong side's obviously on the left. But if they're in the middle of the field, and that's anywhere in between the hashes, our strength is on the right side. And it's usually because we're dealing with right-handed quarterbacks. I haven't dealt with a left-handed quarterback just yet, so the middle has always been our strength, is to the right. They also need to know where they are on the field, inside the 10, inside the 35, in the middle of the field. Basically what we're trying to tell the quarterback is this is where defenses change their schematics drastically. Inside the 10, you're going to be seeing different personnel. Inside the 35, you can expect a little bit more man coverage, possibly some more blitzing. If you're in Saskatoon playing the Hilltops, you're probably going to see the two safeties high with man-to-man underneath. I don't know if they're still doing that yet, but that's just what the tendencies of defenses take place in these areas of the field. They also need to know the down and distance. Okay, so if it's we have a P and 10, P and 10 is possession in 10. That can come from a kickoff to an interception from our defense. Okay, our play calls change throughout all of these stages, P and 10, where we are on the field, and the defense's schemes will change in this. So they need to know where they are on the field. They need to know the down and distance. And I break it down into the major sections to what I give them as an offensive coordinator in their game plan. What are we going to be running on P and 10? Quick change of possessions, inside the 10, second and medium, second and long. Okay, they need to know the clock and the situation that they're in. Are we in a hurry up? Are we running out the clock? They need to be aware of the clock awareness even after the play. So out of bounds, I put in brackets there. If we're looking to save time in our drive, we're going to be aiming for that sideline in our passing concepts. And so all of this is for us to get on the same page as the offensive coordinator. If they know where they are on the field, if they know the down and distance, and they know the clock and situation, that's a good start to what they will need to know prior to getting into the huddle. And finally, I put down here, find the signal caller. The signal caller, so if I were to give you guys a scenario, first and 10, our quarterback throws a completion for 20 yards, and it's to the strength of the field on the right side. He's moving towards that area, okay? Hey, the crowd's going nuts. Everybody's super excited. We're moving the ball, but the quarterback is not getting too excited. He has to know where he is on the field. He has to know the down and distance, where he is, and the clock situation. So what this does for your quarterback is It keeps him focused in the game. It doesn't have him like celebrating every time he completes a pass. He has to know where he is on the field, what the down and distance is, and eventually he's going to be looking on the sidelines for that signal caller. And the signal caller will be giving personnel, okay? So usually 5 receiver set, or if we're going, switching out a fullback, if we're going into our heavy sets, whatever the case is, he's looking for that signal caller for the personnel and to receive the next play. So huddle discipline. This is a major proponent for any quarterback during the huddle. It's on us. It's on the quarterback to ensure that he has 12 men in the huddle, ensure that he has the proper personnel, and he's yelling out the formation or the personnel for the formation. So again, going back to that scenario, he completes the pass, he's moving the ball down, he's looking at the sideline, and he's getting the coach giving them different personnel sets, however that you guys would signal in or moving in a guy to doing it. I usually have our quarterbacks yelling out the personnel to the rest of the offense. And typically it usually goes to the one man who's going to be subbing out, where they're like, hey, Chow, 5R, 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 like get out of the game. I know it's not a penalty in the WHSFL or the Winnipeg High School Football League to have 13 men in the huddle, but it was ingrained in us as quarterbacks in the university to never step in the huddle unless you have the proper personnel. Maintain huddle discipline. Again, this is very fundamental principle, but it's just go through training camp, just go through your spring camp, and you'll just see it's just like a massive scramble. Okay, so proper personnel in your huddle. This is what I tell our quarterbacks. This is like your room. Okay, you need to know where everything is. You know where your wallet, keys, watch, everything is in your room. Why wouldn't you keep your huddle the same way? So this is the way that we structure our huddle, with the big boys up in the back and our 6 eligible receivers in the middle there, just laid out exactly like there. I have a gray area. That's typically the guy that's moving out. That's usually our fullback, but that's the way that we tag our receivers within our offense. So here's your short side receivers are to the left. I'm always on the left hash, you guys. Anytime I'm drawing up a play, I'm usually on the left hash, just because of the strength being on the right. So our weak side receivers are on the left, and our strong side receivers are on the right. It really doesn't matter, like at the end of the day, for you guys as coaches, you guys can do whatever you want, but I am a big stickler of ensuring that all of my guys are in the exact same position. And if you have those 2 guys, the R and the 4 underneath your center, and your O-line is turned towards the quarterback, I will always ask them to go down so I can speak to them and I can give my eye contact. That just goes back to the fundamentals of the only person that should be talking in the huddle is the quarterback. And here's a little bit of leadership points to them. I know that it's almost like an evaluation for quarterbacks. The first time seeing a quarterback as a coach, you almost put him in that scenario where you're evaluating how his leadership skills are, the way that he maintains his huddle. So what I say to the quarterbacks is, looking into the eyes of your offensive personnel, speak with confidence, speak so that people can hear you. And I know that there's a lot of times at the U of M, my old line told me, shut up, Makie, you're talking really loud right now, but I'm speaking with as much confidence as I can to get these guys excited and execute your break as if lining up for your last. And what I mean by that is, it's an intimidation factor. If we have all 12 men clapping at the same time saying break, no defense will want to take on offense that's all on the same page. If there's guys leaving the huddle early, and it's really sloppy, it's going to execute sloppily, right? So even at the university level, I remember bringing everybody back in and just saying, let's get a better break here, you guys. Are we a team, or are we a bunch of individuals? Okay, that's just the way that the huddle, I'm a big proponent of during the huddle, what you need to do as a quarterback. This is a lot of the leadership as a quarterback. So overview of the defense, doing the math. Okay, so this is really simple math here. We're not going to we're not going to do any equations here. So just like the offense, there are 12 players on the field. Okay, so if the offense has allowed 6 eligible receivers, therefore the defense, and we give the defense a lot of credit here, we're going to say that the defense needs to account for all of these eligible receivers, meaning that there's a man that's going to be covered or responsible for one of these players. So if there's 6 eligible receivers, how many defenders does that leave us with? So it's a simple math equation. Guys usually get it. They're like, hey, coach, it's 6. And then I just ask if we wanted to keep one defender back as a safety valve, that would leave us with how many? And they'd say 5. I'd say, okay, perfect. So now we have what our box should be in the comfort zone, you know, with one guy. Like there's 5 defenders, and guess what? We have 5 offensive linemen. You can't throw offensive linemen the ball, so there's the 5 defenders that are going to be coming at you. Okay, so where do I start looking after breaking the huddle? I say start where everything begins. Start at the line of scrimmage from your big boys in the front. Count how many are in the box. Then we won't be surprised the extra or minus players in the secondary. And I'll give you guys what I mean by this. Is if we start our pre-snap progression in the back end, and let's say we see 2 safeties high, and then we're looking at all of our receivers and seeing that they're all covered, and then you look inside the box, and then it's a backwards way of doing it. So I always say start in the box, count how many guys you have, and then you won't be surprised to see extra or minus in the secondary. I'll make a little bit more sense of what I mean here. So how many players do you have in the backfield? This is the major proponent to how defenses shift to our formation, but also how much you can expect to see in your box. So you know how many players you have in the backfield, and you're not counting yourself. So basically running backs. So if you have 1 back in the backfield, you should have 6 in the box with a safety high. With all of our receivers out, our slot backs and receivers, 1 running back, we should have 6 in the box with the safety. Okay? If we have 2 in the backfield, we should have 7 defenders in the box with a safety high. Now, if we have 1 in the backfield and there's 7 guys in the box, where is the safety? And if the safety is high, that automatically should tell a quarterback that he has 1 receiver that's not being covered. And we see it in the WHSFL quite a bit, where we come out in a 5 receiver set, usually in the early parts of the game, and that Sam linebacker just forgot to bump out on our slot back. There's still 7 in the box, so where's the safety? The safety's still high. Again, if they're counting what's in the box, they're not going to be surprised to see, hey, coach, nobody's on our W receiver to the field. That's just a method for the quarterbacks to get used to it. Again, 1 in the backfield, and there's only 5 in the box. How many safeties should you be expecting when you lift your head out of there? Okay, so this is just a picture and an understanding of what I'm looking at the box. So we're coming out of the huddle. We have 2 in the backfield. Here we start down with just the defensive linemen. It's the guys that are down on the ground. There is nothing better as a quarterback to see one of those D linemen, he's got his hand or his elbow on his knees and just, when is this drive gonna end? You can see the D linemen that are down. Okay, you start from there, and then you should be expecting 3 linebackers. Okay, so I got 4 down D linemen. There should be 3 linebackers that are coming up. This is essentially your box. Okay, so with 2 in the backfield, you have 7 in the box, 7 defenders in the box. There's another scenario where we have 1 in the backfield. We're in a pistol set. Okay, again, it starts, and I don't put nose tackle and rush. I'm not trying to confuse the quarterbacks just yet. But I'm just saying these are the big guys up front. These are the down D linemen. Okay, so we have 1 in the backfield. How many linebackers should you guys be expecting? Typically, they're going to be like, well, there should be 6. So 2 linebackers behind the defensive lineman. And again, in this scenario, you come up and you see just one of those guys, one of those down D linemen, that's on his hands and knees, the big guys that's right over top of your center. You're lifting up and you have 1 in the backfield. And then you start looking at your linebackers, and there's only 2 in there. How many safeties would you, oh, there you go. How many safeties would there be in this scenario? This is the question. And I run this presentation with our quarterbacks just to get them understanding a little bit more about the quick and dirty math of what's inside this box. And again, their vision starts right out of the huddle. They break the huddle. They're coming out. They can see their O-line running to the line of scrimmage. And there's those defenders that are down. That's where their eyes start. They're looking up at the linebackers. This is your box. This is what you do. And with RPO now being more used, even in the high school leagues, it's essential. Now we really have to know what's in our box and who our key read defender is. Okay, so the next thing that we're doing, I wish I could be asking questions here, but the next thing that we do after we are checking our box is checking for any rotations in the defense. So the quarterbacks know the formation that is being called. Okay, they've located their signal caller, they got the formation and the play, so they are the ones that know the formations that they're breaking out of the huddle with. Okay, how can the defense cover all of the eligibles that are in your formation? So there's specific things that we go through with our quarterbacks when we're playing an opponent in a certain week where we are having them check in film. Okay, what are the tendencies of the defense covering our 5 receiver set? How do they play our balance formation? How do they rotate to trips? These are the very basic questions to ask your quarterbacks when they're watching film. How do they rotate to our formations? Okay, and here's a scenario where I'm just gonna show the quarterback's progression through here. So he comes out, we're in a balanced set. We're always on the left hash to start. We're in a balanced set, so 2 receivers to the field, 2 to the boundary. They start at the line of scrimmage. What's in their box? Sure enough, there's seven defenders. Now we're going to a trips formation, and I'm just going to say that we're going to come out in trips. Okay, so this is typically the rotation that we see when we go into strong. Okay, a half that rotates. Well, what I say to our guys is there have been opponents in our league last year even where the halfback would have an automatic hammer anytime that we had trips, and they would bump out their Sam. It's a different way that a defense would shift to our formation, but it also alerts a blitz that's coming. So if we saw this type of rotation to it, we would alert that there's definitely a blitz coming from the short side, and that's from the weak hammer. Now, back in the day, like playing U of S, they used to put the halfback inside the box and essentially just bump out their Sam. But they had very good athletes that could both defend the run and the pass from the half. And the Sam was a very, very good athlete as well. But it's just a method to understanding as a quarterback where my weak points are and what I should be alerting. With the way that the defense rotates to the formation. And so here I'm just going to show you what it would be like if we were in a 5 receiver set. This is typically the way that defenses rotate to our ace formation or our ace strong formation, however you guys want to call it. This is typically what we get. So these are the key pieces of information that the quarterbacks need to know. They start in the box. They look at where the free safety is, and now they're checking rotations or formations, defensive rotations to the formation that is called. Okay, so who is the most important defender in the secondary? I have a little icon here that looks like a bullseye, but it also kind of looks like an element. And what I say to quarterbacks here is the free safety is the most important defender in our secondary. He is a guy that you could be targeting all game long, or he could be that hot burner that you keep on touching and getting burnt on. If you go through your pre-snap reads, and if you guys take anything out of this presentation, it's to know where your free safety is every snap that you take as a quarterback. You have to know where your free safety is. And the reason is because the safety gives us a lot of clues, if not the most amount of clues, as to what coverage the defense will be running. And so what do? We need to know where he is aligned. Is he outside the strong tackle? Is he inside the strong tackle? Over the center? I asked the quarterbacks to cut their fields into thirds. Okay, so when locating the free safety, cut the field into thirds. In order to do this, we always need to know where we are on the field. So left hash, middle, right hash. If you're in balanced formation, two receivers on each side, the free safety will most likely be cheating towards the strength of the field. Why? Because he has more room to cover on that side. So he'll bend in a little bit to the strong side. Okay, an unbalanced formation, you know, like our ace set that I showed earlier, 3 receivers on one side, 2 on the other. I usually ask the quarterbacks, how many backs do we have, you guys? They'll say 1. One guy will say 2, and I'll say, you're number 3. Just joking. The free safety is most likely going to line up to the 3 receiver side and a little bit more heavy on that. Overloaded formations like 4 receivers or quads, or however the free safety will most likely be over top of the overloaded side. So if we're on a hash, start cutting from the wide sideline to the wide side tackle or your ghost tight end. That's where you cut the field, right down the line. Okay, so all the way from the sideline to the strength to about your ghost tight end. That's where you can draw another line. And then you line it up right over top of your center. Okay, and if I'm in the university, I would say is his outside shoulder, or sorry, his closest to the boundary. Okay, these are our areas. That's that one, like your box extended, but I'm cutting it off at the center. And the reason is because what I'll show you guys a little bit further here. The free safeties tend to I don't have another word other than cheat, but they typically move towards the strength of the field. They're right over top of center, and it's prior to the snap, and he's right over top of center, and we're on a hash mark. Something's going on to the boundary. Okay, so this is what I mean by cutting your field into thirds. And if you're in the middle of the field, it's sidelines to the tackles. We're also checking to see how low he is. So here's what I mean by this. Here's your thirds. So your box is almost extended, but it's cut off at that shoulder of the center. And in that lane there, the free safety should be right in the middle there. That's where we feel the most comfortable as quarterbacks. You're right over top of me, inside that strength portion to the field. Okay, so if we're in the middle of the field, we cut it off at both ends of the ghost tight ends. Okay, so this is our third, and we're just extending our box all the way down to the opposite end zone. Okay, and this is going all the way from both tight ends. Okay, and no matter where you are in the middle of those hashes, that box remains the same. We're just extending it all the way through. Okay. So here's the field split into thirds, and this is typically where you're going to see your free safety prior to the snap. Okay, I usually draw a deck. If you call it a deck, it's about 15 yards from your center. Okay, it can go a little bit more or less depending on the defense that you're playing. Again, you're watching film, so you should know the depth of the free safety and where he usually is prior to the snap. I usually cut it off at 15 yards. So if he's any lower, we're expecting something out of it. But here are the different situations that we could see a free safety prior to the snap. The free safety's on the short side of the field. We're expecting some form of blitz, or he's covering for some form of defender to the short side of the field. Okay, in another scenario, he's really plus. Okay, so he's way beyond that cutoff where I've cut my field into thirds from the sideline. He's way outside of that ghost tight end line, and he's waiting. So that should alert a quarterback that from the weak side, there's going to be another guy covering that deep thirds, coming whether it's from your weak side halfback, your corner. However, it works against the University of Calgary. Back in their heyday, they had a will linebacker, and I'm sorry, I can't remember his name right now. But they had a will linebacker that would get out of the box and play that safety spot, and they would run 2 safeties high, but he would stay in the box almost right at the snap, and he would fly out. But he was a phenomenal athlete that could do that. But what we caught was the free safety and his positioning on the field. So we knew when he was going to be going out of there just from that free safety and where he aligned prior to the snap. Again, you might see a free safety going below that hard deck, and he could be cheating over top of maybe a Sam linebacker who could be alerting blitz. Again, the quarterback should, if he sees a free safety coming below that hard deck, we're alerting one thing, and it's going to be a blitz of some sort. Where he lines up, outside of that box, the pressure is going to be coming from the outsides. If he's coming right down the middle, he's coming, or he's defending the back that's in the backfield, but he's low and they're coming with everybody. Okay, so the free safety is a very important key piece for us. Oh, and then if you just see him straight back and even playing on that line, there's not a lot of key or tells from a free safety. This is just the norm. This is probably what you're going to be seeing 80% of the game. Okay, is just a free safety who's going to be staying in that third of the field right in front of you and not moving a whole lot or just moving backwards. So starting your cadence. So this is what we've done as we've exited the huddle, and we've started checking our box. We're looking for rotations. Now we're locating the free safety. Okay.
Coach
now
Makie, we got a question here.
Oh yeah, sure.
We got a question here. It's asking, having coached university and high school, how many reads would you ask your quarterback to read on a certain concept? And the second part to that is the same question when you were coaching university. How many reads would you ask your quarterback to read on a certain concept?
It's a great question. And the way that I would answer that is no more than 3. Anytime that you're going beyond 3, it's very, very difficult for a quarterback. It would depend on a 5-step concept. That's where that 3 reads, no more than 3 reads. In a quick passing set or a 3-step, if you will, type concept, I don't go any more than 1. Like just get your vision on the 1 defender and you're reacting on him. So it depends on how much time you're giving your quarterback. So if it's a 5-step, I would say no more than 3. And if it's a 3-step, no more than 2. But 2 is very difficult. And when I'm talking about 3-step, and we're a little bit into the post-snap reads, but if you're going quick passing game or your 3-step passing game, I ask our quarterbacks to stick to one side of the field. I would never ask a quarterback to read a strong side corner to a short side corner. It's too difficult for a quarterback to look here and then switch his vision. Just try it in your living room or wherever you guys are going. Just going from here all the way to here. Your vision can't locate exactly where you need to go. So in a 3-step passing situation, get the quarterback to cut the field in half. It depends on how you design your pass plays, but if you're going to the short side of the field, you can usually play on 1 defender. If you're on the wide side of the field, your read will go from inside to out is the best way that I've found it, is just inside to out, and that's only 2 reads. And then in a 5-step concept, well, the world is your oyster on that one, and you can really design some slick passing patterns in order to get everybody in one area where you're picking on 1 defender, or you're moving from one defender to another, but allowing your routes to keep that vision of the quarterback consistent, right? Like where he's moving his eyes to. I hope I answered that question for you, but that's a little bit more on the post snap, and I think that might have gotten me another coaching session here on on here, and I can show you guys some different kind of concepts of where to have your eyes after the snap and where to locate them. But again, I'm just going to reiterate, no more than 3 to answer the question, no more than 3 reads. And I would put the same as a university quarterback or a high school guy, but it really does depend on your concepts that you're moving towards. Okay, so after you've located your free safety, you're starting your cadence. And so what I ask our quarterbacks is getting your vision to the strong side of the field. So starting our cadence goes with a go call. So we'll say go, and that's essentially starting the run up from our slot backs. Color number, set hut. Okay, so go, black 88, set hut. Where we start our cadence is we get our vision to the strong side of the field. The reason why we go to the strong side of the field is because, well, there's 2 reasons. Number 1 is they have the most field to cover. So they're the most likely going to be moving first in their drops. If they're in a zone, you're going to see that strong side corner start bailing out. That's just why, and what I found, like from being a quarterback myself, is that the strong side is more likely to move first into the coverage that they're going. But this is where you can also, and the second reason is typically defenses have their weakest defender at the strong side corner position. And so you look at your strong side corner's body language. This is a defender that's usually a freshman or, a guy that just doesn't want to lose his job. So he's going to do exactly what his coach tells him to. So you can get a lot of his body language. Okay, so is he crouched with eyes on the receiver, nose over toes, knees bent, shoulders square to the receiver? He's within 7 yards of the receiver. That's a body language that is telling us a lot that this could be man coming. Okay, or can you see his face? Is he looking at you? Is his face mask looking at you when you're going out there and you're calling black 88? Is he looking at you? Is his hips pointed inside? Is he in an upright position? Is his weight on the foot that's closest to the line of scrimmage? Is his weight on this side of is it shifted? Is he a lot at or deeper than 7 yards? This gives us a lot of telltale signs of what coverage we're going to be seeing from that strong side corner. And when you're looking at the strong side corner, we can see the halfback in our peripheral. Okay, and remember, you guys, this is only 1 second, so they get a quick snapshot of it. Black 88, that's it. Okay, so they get 1 snapshot of that corner. What is his body language like? And I really slow this down in film for these guys so that they can see them. They can see the tendencies, the body language, everything within that strong side corner. But in their peripheral vision, they should be seeing the halfback. Is he deeper? Is the corner deeper than the half? Is he lower than the half? Are they at the same levels? Again, I'm going to refer back to Calgary's defense in university. In their heyday, it was an amazing feat. The coach with the University of Calgary had the defenders at the snap of the ball exactly at 7 yards. It was amazing. Every snap, they were right at 7 yards. So it didn't give us a lot of telltale signs that we could find. But in the high school league, more often than not, you're going to be seeing a corner higher than the half, or he's in press right up inside that 7 yards in a strong cloud look, or they're straight up going man to man. Oh, and it's a bonus. This is when you get more and more and more reps, you're going to be starting to get more data, more information for yourself to carry when you're going through your cadence. And a lot of the times you can see these halfbacks ready for a jam. Okay, are they up and are they ready for contact? You can see them getting ready. Their weight is being shifted like they're ready to do a clean. Just by that 1 second that you're looking over there, is he getting ready to put hands on the slot back that's coming at him full speed? That's bonus. And that's something that they can work towards. So here it is. Here's that deck at 7 yards. You know, where's the corner? Here's a good picture that I pulled off of Huddle. I'm not going to be running film for this session. So I just pulled up a picture here. This is the strong side corner. So look at his body language. This is, his shoulders are over top of his toes. His eyes are on the man. He's inside shade, and he's at about 5 yards depth. What coverage can you expect? This is something that I send to our quarterbacks. Okay. And sure enough, I show you guys this scenario of a strong cloud look, you know, that could be coming in a situation where a cornerback's just dicking around with you out there. He's like, oh, Makie's, or the quarterback is messing around, or he's getting key pieces of I'm going to play back here. It doesn't matter. You got your picture of it. They can do whatever they want up there, but you're just collecting information. You're not predetermining. And I say this over and over and over and over and over again to the quarterbacks. As much information as I'm giving you right now, you could use it as a weapon, or you could use it as a hindrance. If you guys start predetermining the coverage that you're facing with all of this information, you're going to run yourself into problems. Okay. So again, you're getting a quick snapshot. A corner could be low, lower than the half when they're here. This is a scenario where they were at the same levels. What we can see here is a corner with his hips inside. His eyes are on the quarterback, and his weight is on his inside, his foot closest to the line of scrimmage. He's ready to get out. And you can see a nice halfback here with his hands on his hips. He's not going to be getting out. He doesn't look like he's in a man-to-man type coverage. This gives us a really good understanding that it's probably going to be cover 3 hold. Okay, so this is just the look that we give, or that I give to the guys. You know, if we're going up against you know, our opposition every week, I'll pause it here and I'll just give them all the key pieces of information that they need to know about number 3 at the strong side corner, number 21 as their half. Okay, and here's the hold look. So we're moving from strong side to short side. Okay, so we're still in our cadence. We went black 88. We've got one quick snapshot. Now we're moving to the short side. Reason why we're going, again, just to reiterate, we're going to the short side last in our cadence because these guys are going to be moving very quickly. It's a shorter space towards the sideline. These guys can move. And typically, against the defenses that I've ever faced, and the defensive coordinators, they put their best athletes on the short side of the field. The corner there is usually their better defender, as well as their half, one of their more aggressive ones. So you're looking to the short side defenders. You're looking at the levels more than body language. You're looking at the levels that they're at. So basically the depth of the defenders. The relationship between the weak corner and the weak half will eliminate certain coverages to be expected. So if a halfback is super high, you know, prior to the snap, and the corner is in press like the picture here, we can bet that there's probably going to be some form of weak cloud or cut coverage where the corner is going to be in the flats. We want to know the shade of the weak side corner. Also gives us a lot of telltales of the defense that we're going to be facing. And again, the weak corner, is he looking to jam the receiver? That's where you can really get a good picture of its inside or outside shade. But again, those corners are the ones that we're looking at, and we're seeing the halves through our peripheral vision. So here it is again, the 7-yard deck. We're looking to see the relationship, the scenario that I told you guys, the halfback's getting out early and the corner's up and jam and press and he's inside, you know, some form of cut coverage, or you could see hold to the boundary. Okay, so putting it all together here. So we first start off with the call. So we know where we are on the field. We know that we're on the left hash. We look for the call, and the play comes in. We're in a balanced set, and it's a pass play. This is one of our typical 5-step drop pass plays. So I don't know if they still have this in Madden, but I always referred to it when you guys were under center on offense in Madden, and you could pull up the routes. That there was no better way to describe how you should be looking at the play. You know, when everybody's broken out of the huddle, you know exactly where your depth of these routes are, where their breaking points are, the release that they're running. All quarterbacks should know this type of information in order to relay it to their receivers. One, to execute it properly, but two, in order to get them the ball. So anytime that we're running one-on-ones, I ask the quarterbacks not to just give them an in. I give them a breaking point. You got to give them a breaking. Give me an in at 15 yards, just like Jin, you know, or say it like a concept. That's within your playbook. Give them depths. Give them as much information as you can as a quarterback to have the route being ran efficiently and effectively for you to get them the ball. So going back to this scenario here, the quarterback knows where he is on the field. He's on the left hash. He's been given the play in a balanced formation set. He knows this play like it's like in Madden when you're pulling up all the routes. He starts breaking the huddle. He gives the play with confidence. He breaks the huddle. He sees what's in the box. Everything is normal. We got 7 guys in the box. Now I'm looking for my free safety. What are we doing when we have the free safety there? We're cutting the fields into thirds. Okay, so the free safety is right over top of his Sam linebacker. He's not really outside of the third that we have him in, and he's no lower than 15 yards. Okay, so everything is normal here. I'm starting my cadence. Go. I look to my strong side. Black 88. Again, we need to know what that deck is at 7 yards. What is their depth? What's the body language of the corner, and how are they moving? So this is how they've shifted, as he's said, black 88. It's just 1 second. Now he's checking the short side of the field. Again, he's looking at that deck remains the same on the short side, that 7-yard deck. What is the relationship between the corner and the half? They start moving into what we have here. Black 88, that's all he gets. He's going back, and there's one last checkpoint where I didn't have a slide to it. You're getting one last pick at the free safety. Okay, so as you're coming back to looking at the snap that's coming out of your center, whether you're in a gun or you're under center, you're taking one last peek at that free, because he's definitely moving at this point in your cadence. He's showing where he's going. So this is what he got. Let's just see what coverage we're going to be getting out of this. And so he was a man-to-man coverage. So that's the way that I run it for our guys. You know, like even if they look a little bit off here, what I say is that our halfbacks are most likely to go in a back pedal, because they got to defend a slot back who's running full speed at the line of scrimmage. So you're going to get a little bit more cushion from your halfbacks in a man-to-man coverage. And the corners are looking to put hands on, especially on the short side, not so much on the strong side. But the short side corner will definitely want to get hands on that receiver in a man-to-man coverage, depending where you are on the field. But this is the scenario that we run, and I have a couple of other scenarios that I do, but I'm just going to wrap it up really quick with the pre-snap checklist. So I break it down before the huddle. Yep.
Yeah, we got another question here, if you don't mind.
Yep, no problem, you guys.
The question's asking, I've heard of a concept called the triangle read, where you take the safety, the half, the corner, and see how the three are aligned in relationship with each other, and the alignment will tip the coverage. I don't remember where you heard this from, but curious if you've heard of something similar, that triangle read.
Absolutely. That's like we don't have it as a triangle, but more or less putting the receiver on an island or a defender on an island. Yes, I'm very familiar with that triangle and trying to find that open spot in the triangle. Typically, we like to draw that triangle with the half, the SAM, and the free safety. That's usually our triangle that we're working with. We got a whole bunch of passing concepts in our playbook where we do say that there is a triangle of defenders here in a certain scenario, but again, that's a bit more post-snap type of reads. And again, you can design your passing game to put those guys in a triangle. But to just to give you guys what I'm doing today is everything pre-snap. So post-snap will be a reflection on the play. So if I roll it back here, and this is the play that we have, our main defender that we're reading on this play, and I haven't really dived into concepts and where to bring your eyes, and I'll wrap it up here in the in the checklist. But at the end of all things, when you get that football, you have a defender or you have a route, you have a starting point for your vision on how you're going to read this play. So in this case, I know I saw a quarterback that was in a different team, so it doesn't matter here. But on this play, our strong side corner would be our primary read. Okay, so if this corner was to go back in a cover 3 situation, then we're moving to the short side of the field. Okay, this is a 5-step drop. Okay, all I ask the quarterbacks to do in this type of a play is read that strong side corner. Once you get the football, your eyes are to the strong side corner. And if he comes down on that in, get your feet underneath you, hitch up, and throw a touchdown to the corner route. Because we believe in our receivers to beat the other defenders in a one-on-one match. So we have to, once we see that corner come down, it opens up space in that back end there where we can bench the corner, we can move the corner down. The free safety stayed in the middle of the field, so it's a touchdown throw if we connect with it, or it's a big play. If the corner was to move off of it, I would get our quarterbacks, and they're still in their drop, and they should be seeing how the cornerback reacts to that in route, because the in is only 5 yards. So the corner is forced to make a choice to come either down on the in or just stay back and not care about it. If he gets a zone look, he's still on his first 2 steps of his drop. He can switch out his vision to the short side of the field. And if he did a good job here in checking to see the pre-snap positioning of the defenders on the short side, the corner and the half relation, and if he had 2 defenders lower than 7 yards and they're in a zone of some sort, he knows that he has a shot with his seam going down to his dropout. And those are the 3 reads. So it starts off with the corner, then he would go to his half, then he would check the corner, and if there's nothing there, you're taking off and running. Okay, so again, you don't want to push it past 3. Again, I had him moving away from his strong side to the short side. But this right now, right here, I don't have a triangle read. I wish I could draw something up really quick here, but there was a lot of animation moving and stuff like that in this PowerPoint. So, but no, I know what you're talking about with the defenders and the triangle read. But typically what we see is the triangle inside here, not so much outside, because that's a pretty flat type of triangle. I don't know my triangles very well, but no, typically the triangle usually takes place right in here. Okay, so again, just to roll it back, the way that I would have the quarterbacks read this concept that we have here is start with the strong side corner. If he moves back in cover 3, or if it's a zone look, we're moving to the short side. And that's what I got for that. But I really feel like I could do a little bit more here with post-snap reading and 5-step concepts and 3-step concepts. But just going back to the pre-snap checklist here, you guys, I've separated into what happens prior to the snap. So before the huddle, the quarterback needs to know the down and distance, know where he is on the field, and know the situation that he's in. There's a lot of times where let's run the clock here, man. Let's be conservative. It's not that we're abandoning our passing game, if we're trying to conserve time, but if we're up by 20 points and we're in the third quarter, you better believe I'm telling the quarterback, let's use that clock as much as we can to keep that lead. So knowing the situation and knowing what the quarterback, or sorry, the offensive coordinator is calling, knowing his situation, and always being aware of the clock, and whether we're going aggressive. If we're down, we're most likely going to be throwing on these guys, but just understanding the situation. During the huddle, ensure that you have proper personnel and you have your 6 eligibles in the huddle. You're maintaining huddle discipline. Nobody speaks but you. Spark that confidence in your offense, and all the guys that are ready to run the play. Give them that confidence. Be a leader and win this play. Breaking the huddle. The first thing that you want to do is check the defensive front. Check for rotations to your formation. Okay, whether you have it prior to the snap. So if we go from a balanced set and we have a rotation in place, okay, that go call, we're looking at how they rotate to the defense. Okay, then we're looking at the free safety. Then we're looking at our strong side to the short side. Okay, so if you do have any type of rotation where you're moving your receivers prior to the snap, I'm not a big proponent of that, but there are a lot of keys that you can play off of just by a simple like 22 balanced formation set, 2 receivers to the field, 2 to the boundary, and then just moving to a trip side. You can get a lot of different looks and different ways to run on a defense, but you're checking for the rotation of the defense to the formation that was called. The next thing that you're doing is you're locating your safety, and then when you're starting your cadence, sorry for the spell error, starting your cadence, you're going to check the strong side, then you're checking the short side, then you're right before the snap. Okay, so go, black 88, black 88. You're doing one last peek at the free, and then set hut, now we're going. And now your eyes are on the football. You got to catch the football from gun. We usually operate from the gun, as a lot of offenses do right now. Okay, you got to catch the football, and then you got to locate your read defender. So the post snap is the eyes on the read. And then I have a whole other list of checklists for quarterbacks here. But this has been a pre-snap checklist that I've used as a player. I've also incorporated it into quarterbacks that I've taught through the university ranks and high school ranks. I've been a part of many different elements or levels of football, all the way from the pros to the very minors, bobblehead peewee guys. And if you can train your quarterbacks where their vision should be, I like to use the scenario where, if you're in a car and you get just a big, huge mud that flaps onto your windshield, you're in a state of panic, and you might be fiddling with the radio rather than turning on your wipers. That's the same thing as a quarterback play. If he doesn't know where his vision is, he's like a deer in the headlights, and it's a method to really slow down the game for the quarterback to have his attention focused on something else other than the hoopla of moving the ball down, because it's an emotional roller coaster. This is my hour. It's an emotional roller coaster as a quarterback, but if you get him to stay focused and being on point prior to the snap and understanding what he needs to be looking for, he's too busy to get involved into the hype. And it keeps him disciplined, it keeps him focused, and he's ready for the play. And if you have all of this information that he's continuing to doing, you'll surprise yourself even as a coach about what they can find in the game. You're as coaches, a lot of the times we get caught up in our game plan from the data that was captured all prior to the game day at hand, and we're not playing the game. And a lot of it comes back from the quarterback onto the sideline saying, hey, did you check this guy out? This is what he was doing. No, tell me more about that. What happened? And then you draw up a scheme to beat it. So this is the checklist. I'll open it up for questions now. This is what I've got for you guys, I believe. Yeah, there's a glossary of terms that I have for the kids. So do you guys have any
Coach
questions?
Makie, yeah, we do have one question here. Coaches, again, if you do have any questions here, we're towards the end now, so you can submit those and we'll get them to Coach Makie. But this question here says, have you ever used or are you familiar with the R4 system?
Very, very familiar with it. Vaughn Mitchell, who is the offensive coordinator for the Bison program right now, actually instituted the R4 system, and that's where a lot of the deck, if you call it the hard deck, that came from the R4 system. That's what I incorporated into our pre-snap. Yes, very familiar with the R4 system, and I've when we made our run to the national semis with the Bisons in 2014, Jordan Yance, a Saskatchewan kid, was at the helm for us. We used the R4 system with him. What I'll say about the R4 system is that you need a quarterback that has a big arm because you're looking in the back end first. So you're always looking for your big shots and then you come down to your feet. So when I was at the quarterback position at the U of M, we did it completely opposite. We started, short, and then we went to the length. But if you look at the stats from when I was playing compared to when we implemented the R4 system, our yards per attempt went through the roof, and our scoring percentage went through the roof. So there was a lot of good that came from it. The only knock that I would say to it is that there was a lot of times where there was a higher percentage of turnovers or interceptions when you're looking in the deep shots, especially if you get a young buck like Teo Dizar, who loves to throw the ball deep. He was great within that system in the R4, but those are the pluses and minuses that I've been a part of. So yes, to answer your question, very familiar.
Okay, Coach Makie, we got another one here. It says, do you make any line of scrimmage play adjustments based on the QB read? And the second part to that is, at what point in your checklist would the QB audible to the alternate?
If there was any type of blitz formation, first of all, I don't typically like to have our quarterbacks changing the play because they didn't like what they saw in there. If there are major key points, so there was a point in the presentation where we had an automatic blitz from the halfback coming on the outside. If we were in a certain protection where we weren't accounting for him, we would have the quarterback adjust his protection, his pro. So yes, there are some switches to what you would see in the box type of, like, if there is an unaccounted for man that is coming through a gap that isn't ours. So in protection schemes, you should always look to protect your blind side of the quarterback. And you can have the blind side of the quarterback, right-handed quarterback, on the right side if you're having the quarterback looking to his short side first. So if there is any type of blitz that we would see where we're looking into it and the guy is on the line of scrimmage, then we would have to get out of the play. So yes and no. It's the last case scenario that I would have our quarterback changing the play and audibling, but it's most likely going to be a slide type of protection to that blitzing guy or the unaccounted for man, and just changing our launch point as a quarterback. So again, just going back to that scenario where we had a trips rotation and that halfback came up on the line of scrimmage, and we called our protection to leave the outside man. we had a call where it was, back in the day, I didn't run it last year, but we would just say, hey, Larry, which basically meant to the O-line that they're sliding towards that halfback who's on the line of scrimmage, and his line to the quarterback is short, and he's a fast defender. So we got to slide towards him in order to hit that one-man route. So to answer your question, yes, but very small tweaks to the play, not a full audible. I hope that answered your question.
We got another one. This is an interesting question, Coach. It says, how do your cadence reads differ from 12-man to 9-man, specifically for leagues that don't typically use a free safety?
That's a really good question. What I would do is really understand the depth of the defenders, if anything, I would just really harp on their body language. So you can get telltale signs within the defense, the defenders, and the way that they're lined up on the receiver. So if you don't have a free safety, you can okay. So if you're facing a team without a free safety, just really harp on those outside reads, those outside defenders, and the way that they're positioning themselves. Going back to that picture of the corner that was hunched over, his eyes are on his receiver. Really focus on that in the 9-man game. I'm sorry, I know how big 9-man football is in Saskatchewan. I kind of forgot about my audience there. I don't really have a quick response to that, but if anything, I would just go back to the depth of the defenders and their body language. And that's where you're going to get a lot of telltale signs of whether you're going to be seeing a man type of coverage or a zone.
Excellent. Thanks for that. We got one more here asking about RPOs. So when running an RPO, do you prefer to read a specific defender or read an area of the field?
It starts with the specific defender. For me in our system, we always have, with the RPOs, we have a read defender. So whether we're going to give the ball to the running back or pull it. And so whether he's on the line of scrimmage or the linebacker in the back end, he has to get to a certain landmark in order for us to pull the football. And you really got to harp this on these quarterbacks, because out of all the quarterbacks that I've coached, especially in the RPO systems that are coming out and the more sophisticated that they are, these guys want to pull the ball every play. So you have to give them landmarks. I find that landmarks on the field will give them, a more concrete method, whether it's, you got to read the body language of the defender. He's got to get to, okay, so let's say we're reading the rush on a simple RPO, we're leaving the rush and he's either going to come down the line. I say he's got to get to our guard, the pre-snap position of the guard's inside foot. If he passes that, then you're pulling the football. If not, give. And I know some defensive coordinators might be like, well, not on my rush, because he'll chase him down. But that's the game that you play with the RPO. You're once you're in the game, you start getting a feel for it. And quarterbacks guess wrong a lot on the RPO system as well. But if you give them specific landmarks, they're more likely to pull the football at the right time. That's just my point of view. So if we're reading a will linebacker in the back end, I say he's got to cross the hash in order for you to pull, right? So just give him a certain landmark on the field prior to the snap and where he is. So if it's a rush that's coming down the line of scrimmage or getting to that guard, I'm pulling the football. And even a guy with my athletic ability can get outside of a rush that has gone that far inside the box. And then if you're reading in the back end, I like to put landmarks on the field, something that they can understand, whether he's crossing the hash and really coming across, then you can pull the football. Yeah, I would go by landmarks on the field on that one defender. And then if I'm pulling the football, I usually have the quarterbacks just making one read from a defender. And it's not from a route as much as that defender. So once I pull the football, I'm getting my eyes up into the secondary and I'm locating the Sam linebacker or the strong side half or the corner, however the play is designed for you. Get your eyes on that one defender, make your choice, or take off and run.
Excellent. Thank you. So that brings us to the end of tonight's presentation here from Coach Makie. So Coach, thanks a lot for that. Really love the detail that you put in there today. I want to remind you coaches as well of the Three Phases Coaching YouTube page. So check that out. Coach Macaulay also put on a link on there if you want to get an email for when each of these sessions are taking place so you stay in the loop. So click on that link there from Coach Macaulay. And as well, if you want to be a part of this and you want to present, get a hold of me and let me know. And that's Coach Jackson. So you can get at me on Twitter or through email or get somebody who knows me to get a hold of me. And then we'll make it work and get you on here. As well, coaches, if you have any topics that you want to know or you want to hear about, let us know the kind of topics and we'll sort that out for you. Okay. But with that said, thanks again, everyone, and take care. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you all here next week.
Great seeing you guys. Thanks.